To my smart, brave, beautiful daughter, you remind me every day what truly matters.
Note: from the moment I first met her, I knew Stormy Daniels was different. I've had the good fortune to meet a lot of people along the way from different walks of life. Janitors, construction workers, hardworking blue-collar workers, middle managers, executives, working moms, homemakers, and CEOs. From people who were broke and down on their luck to billionaires who will never want for anything. But I've never met anyone quite like Stormy Daniels. What makes Stormy Daniels so unique and so prepared for the important role she has undertaken is that she always owns who she is. She is entirely confident in her own skin every day. She doesn't try to pretend to be something she isn't, not even when sometimes I wish she would. See her Twitter account. In a day and age where image is everything, and everyone is vying for that perfect Instagram pic or the ideal tweet, Stormy is herself. That is very refreshing, and it is something to be cherished. Her journey so far has been an amazing one, and we don't know yet where it ends. My hope for this book is that it will let you learn who Stormy Daniels really is. I am confident that when you do, you will agree that we are all very lucky to have her. Michael Avenatti.
Prologue. My phone buzzed again and again, with friends texting me the same message. Happy Stormy Daniels Day. It was 2 o'clock, and I had 2 hours before the city of West Hollywood was set to give me the key to the city at an outdoor ceremony on Santa Monica Boulevard. Mayor John Duran had proclaimed May 23rd to be Stormy Daniels Day, and yes, it seemed just as surreal to me as it did to everyone else. I texted each friend back, sipping a Red Bull. My gay dads, Keith and JD, know to keep the house stocked with energy drinks when I come stay with them in LA. And snacks. If you and I are going to be friends, we need an understanding that there must always be snacks involved. My 2 bodyguards, Brandon and Travis, pulled up to the house in an SUV. They have been at my side since the beginning of April, when the death threats against me and my family started ratcheting up. But I have never seen them nervous until that moment as they walked up to the house carrying a bag. I had given them a very important mission: go to Marciano to pick out a dress for me to wear to the ceremony. I'm a small right now, I had told them, but keep in mind, I have big boobs. To hedge their bets, Brandon and Travis bought 2 dresses, in peach and black, and presented them to me for approval. I narrowed my eyes because hazing the people I love is a favorite pastime, before saying quietly, "Guys, you did great. Bodyguards and stylists?" I went with the black one, a Capella cutout bandage dress which fit perfectly and kept thunder and lightning, my nickname for my breasts, in check. I think I put off buying a dress because I was so nervous about giving a speech. Because I am an adult film actress, director, and dancer, when I meet people, they usually have some nagging question about what gives me the nerve to think I can do something. How do I do porn or take my clothes off on stage in clubs? Or take on the President of the United States? No, the thing that amazes me most about this past year is that I can speak in front of people. Because when I was a student at Scotlandville Magnet High School in my hometown of Baton Rouge, sure, I got straight A's, but I always took a 0 rather than talk in front of the class. My fear was so crippling, my voice so shaky, that I could not get out of my seat. The first time this happened was in 9th grade, an oral book report on Little Women. Of course, I read it. I read everything I could back then, and Jo March was the perfect character for me to talk about, because just like me, she wanted to be a writer. More than that, I identified with Jo's frustration with what the world was ready to allow a girl to do. And no, I did not think she should have married old Professor Bear. Sorry if that is a spoiler, but if you narrowed your next read down to this one or Little Women, you need to examine your life choices. But I couldn't get my voice to come out. I took a straight-up F, and did so every time an assignment called for public speaking. I didn't want people looking at me, judging me, which is exactly what has happened ever since March, when I gave 60 Minutes a free interview that was worth millions. It was important to me that I go to a reputable, impartial news source when I first set the record straight about Donald Trump's personal attorney repeatedly trying to get me to lie about a sexual encounter I had with the president in 2006. The interview covered what happened in a hotel room and later when my life was threatened in a parking lot. But it wasn't the full story. It didn't cover the why of my decisions and the real personal costs to me. I was starring in films I wrote and directed in LA, then going home to my suburban life with my husband and 7-year-old daughter in Texas. It's the life I dreamed of and worked hard to have, and I have to keep reminding myself that that life is over. For all I've lost, I deserve the chance to defend myself and state all the facts. That's why I chose to share what you are about to hear. I'm also doing this for all the people who have come to see me dance in my shows, waiting in longer and longer lines to take a photo with me and share a moment. I have been dancing in clubs since I was 17. As my fan base grew over 2 decades of work in film and feature dancing, my demographic was usually middle-aged white men. 45 to 65-year-old white dudes. Republicans, basically. I lost a lot of them, and that's their choice. This is, after all, America. They were replaced and outnumbered by people of color, gay men, and lots of white women in their 40s. These are people who have never come to strip clubs before, and there's a learning curve to a strip club. My old crowd was well versed in the etiquette, thank you. If they specifically came to see me, it meant they were into adult entertainment, so they had likely been to a convention or at least seen another porn star at a strip club. They know how to act. They don't take pictures during the show, and they definitely don't grab me to tell me they love me. Because I'm in heels, and if a guy pulls me, I will fall. And a bouncer will throw him out, Roadhouse style. If you're familiar with the term new money, you will understand the concept of new strip club patron. And now my shows are full of them. The gay men seem to fall into 2 categories, the good timers and the witnesses to history, and I love them both. I can't tell you how many times men from the former group have told me, this is the first time we ever paid to get into a strip club that has a vagina. A lot of them come with props for the meet and greet photos, like bags of Cheetos or a Make America Gay Again hat. The latter group of gay men is more emotional, and after the show they talk to me about feeling bullied by an administration that makes their marriages and freedoms seem less safe. Their fear is real, and when they confide in me, it comes from an authentic place. It was shared by my gay dads, the family I chose in my 20s when I gave up on my biological parents. Keith and J.D. were 2 of the only people who knew that I had a secret about Trump pre-election. And there was a time after the 2016 election when their concerns about their upcoming marriage turned into resentment of me for not coming forward and upending my life to save theirs. I realized the women were coming out to see me when I started getting hurt Facebook messages from strangers some mornings after my shows. We came to support you, but they didn't let us in. Packs of single women were coming to the clubs in groups of 4 or 5, only to be turned away by bouncers. Normally, a straight woman can only come in the club if she is escorted by a man, because it's assumed that if she's solo, she is looking for a husband or a sale. Now, I make sure the club owner knows they have to let the women in. The women I see on the road have a lot of anger. Not at me, which I initially expected. I was worried I wouldn't be safe anymore in clubs. No, they're angry at Trump, who seems to be a stand-in for every man who's ever bullied them. Nashville, Shreveport, Baltimore. You have to get him, they say. Get that orange turd. Many of these women are quieter as they wait in line to talk to me, then grip my arm to tell me about someone they didn't speak up for. A friend who killed herself after being raped, or their own stories, feeling voiceless and unprotected. I stand there, a girl in a cute dress who just stripped on stage a few minutes before. These women transfer all the energy to me and leave feeling unburdened, but now it's mine to carry. They leave me with, "You're going to save the world." In April, a woman at a meet and greet upgraded my job to saving the universe. No pressure. It's these women who gut me, never the Twitter troll who calls me a slut or the guy in a crowd yelling whore. I sometimes think my job in porn prepared me for all this, because you can call me any name in the book and I've heard it from some other judgy loser. But nothing in my life prepared me for the confidences and hopes of people who come to see me. Even though it's all positive energy, it's still all pointing at me. The best way I can describe it is going to the beach and being in the sun all day. It's great, but you feel sick when you get back to your room. In my case, it's absorbing it all until it hits some limit I didn't see coming, and I am suddenly on the floor of my hotel room, sobbing when no one can see me. I let myself feel it once, and then I get back up. I call it wringing out the sponge. Besides, it was Stormy Daniels' day, and the hero had to show up and speak. Before I left, I FaceTimed with my daughter, who was home in Texas with the tutor we had to hire because it's impossible to send her to school and shield her from what everyone is saying about her mother. She was at a zoo with her tutor, and for 10 minutes I stopped everything to hang on every brilliant word of a 7-year-old's telling of her day's adventure. "I can't wait to see you not digitally," she said. "I'll see you Friday, baby," I said. "How many sleeps is that?" 2. To avoid paparazzi taking pictures of our family, we've had to arrange meetups in other cities. People learned that if there was even a 2-day gap in my schedule, I would be home with my girl in Texas. They camped out at the house and the stable where we ride. This time we'd be going to Miami, where at least she could swim with dolphins. "Mommy loves you," I said. And then my little traveling circus was off to the ceremony. When we got to Santa Monica Boulevard, there was a friends and family area inside Shishi LaRue's store. Keith and JD were inside, greeting everyone, in total hosting mode for their daughter's day. Mayor John Duran and Mayor Pro Tem John D'Amico arrived, followed by my lawyer, Michael Avenatti. As always, I smiled at how many people wanted a picture with him and how many people made excuses to touch his arm. An assistant to the mayor asked Michael if he'd like to speak, but you know how shy he is. Kidding. Of course he said yes. As always, he offered to write my speech for me. And as always, I said no, partly because I know it scares him, but mostly to make it mine. A throng of people had shown up, and the floor-to-ceiling windows of the store gave it the feel of a fishbowl, with photographers and fans pressed against the roped-off speaking area outside. Brandon and Travis paced, already scoping for trouble in the crowd. "You ready?" Michael asked me. I nodded. The mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, my gay dads, Michael, and my dragon bodyguards all crowded onto the tiny stage. "There's one thing I can promise about Stormy Daniels," Michael told the crowd, "and that is, she's not packing up, she's not going home. She will be in for the long fight, each and every day, until it is concluded." John D'Amico handed me the key to the city, and the girl who took a 0 rather than be judged just started talking. "So, I'm not really sure what the key opens," I said. "I'm hoping it's the wine cellar. But in all seriousness, the city of West Hollywood is a truly special place, very close to my heart." A man in the crowd started yelling, "How big is Trump?" Keep going, Stormy, I thought. As a woman with 2 wonderful gay dads, Keith and JD, I feel especially at home here. The community of West Hollywood was founded more than 3 decades ago on the principle that everyone should be treated with dignity and fairness and decency. How small is Trump? And this community has a history of standing up to bullies and speaking truth to power. I'm so very, very lucky to be a part of it. Back inside, I read the mayor's proclamation, and I was again struck by the absurdity of my life. I should be living in a trailer back in Louisiana with 6 kids and no teeth. I grew up in a house that I should never have escaped, with adults never coming to my aid. I started stripping in high school and still graduated with honors as editor of the school paper. I won the respect of a male-dominated industry as a screenwriter and director. And despite everything I did to stay out of it, I ended up in the middle of one of the biggest political scandals in American history. I know that the deck has always been stacked against me, and there is absolutely no reason for me to have made it to where I am, right here, talking to you. Except that maybe the universe loves an underdog as much as I do. I own my story and the choices I made. They may not be the ones you would have made, but I stand by them. Here's my story. It has the added benefit of being true.